for following the plan. This is one of the value. So as I told you, if your values and principles you understand clearly, almost 5 to 6 questions you can do correctly. Okay. So therefore, it is about the C is the correct answer. So now let us go with the agile framework. That is the Scrum framework we'll discuss. Okay. As I told you, agile is not a methodology. Agile is only a concept, a umbrella concept. Following the agile values and principles, there are various other methodologies or frameworks are there. There the practice we can do. But agile by itself is not a methodology. Okay. We have a different methodologies are there, our frameworks are there, like Scrum, Kanban, Scrumban. Both the club is Scrumban. Then DevOps, Safe, like this extreme programming. Then DSDM, then FTD, feature driven development, Crystal, then DA, like this many other approaches are there. Okay, Agile also one of the approach. Okay, so these are the this Lean is one of the approach. Lean. Okay, so these are the some of the frameworks, and most popularly used framework is Scrum. So therefore, many people are taking the Scrum certifications. So CSM like that. So the Scrum is most important one of the framework. So let us go with the Scrum. As it statistics told, so that 58% of the all the agile means companies they're following the Scrum framework. 58% they're following the Scrum framework. All other things you see mostly these are single digits except this Scrumban. Again, Scrumban is a mix of the Scrum and Kanban, but all others are less than single digits. Like all are single digits, and this is only most popularly been used methodology or the framework. Okay. So therefore, we are going with the Scrum framework. So Scrum framework is developed by these two gentlemen. Okay. They call it a Scrum guide. When they call it Scrum guide, it's only guide. It is not a rule. It is not an act. That means if you follow these practices, it's up to you, but need not be mandatory to follow. Okay. So therefore, this is a guide only. Guide only giving the guidance. It's not a mandatory, but if you follow it is good. Okay. So therefore, these are not a rules and acts. And when we call about the Scrum, these are the four general aspects we have to discuss: roles, artifacts, events, and values. Okay. So what are these things? Let us understand. The role is there are three different roles are there. Those I will explain you subsequently. There is the product owner, development team, and Scrum Master. What are the roles? That more details I will discuss in next slides. Then artifacts means important documents. The important documents we call as artifacts, like a product backlog, sprint backlog, increment. All these things I will explain you. So this is all the artifacts. These are the important documents. There are certain other documents also there, but these are the primary artifacts. Okay. Then there's the events. There are 5 events are there like this: sprint, sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Then there's a values. The values are the courage, focus, commitment, respect, openness. These are the values. Okay. So based on this, let us understand how the Scrum framework operates. So I will explain you the next slide. So next slide, I will spend almost like 10 minutes or even more, only one slide. And most of the things I will explain you very clearly. And if you clear about this one slide, many of the questions you can easily can answer. Many of the questions you can easily answer with this one slide. Okay. So as I told you, in a Scrum framework, we have a 3 different roles are there. First is about the product owner, and product owner is the complete authority over the product. He is the person who is the first interacting with the customer, and he is collecting the customer requirements, And based on the customer's requirement, he make the prioritization, means he write the user stories, then prioritizes those user stories are the features. And also he the person who is interacting with the customer one side and delivering the value to the customer other side. From the business point of view, he is the person to create value to the business. That means the profits for our organization, and also ROI and working capital. These also he has to look after. He is an authority to adopt the change. Any of the, for example, increments are being done, the works are acceptance and rejection. He is an authority. Any changes are required in the scope, that is features, and he is an authority. So he is complete authority over the product. He is the person who collects the requirement from the customer, and there are other teams are there. I will explain later. But the first we are talking of the product owner. Okay, the product owner collects the requirement from the customer, and generally customers' requirement in agile frameworks or the Scrum, there is not technical specifications. The customer may not be knowing about the technicalities. Suppose a trader wanted to develop a website, he don't know how to develop the website and what are the technical features and technical the language and all thing. He can't express properly, but he can tell what is his features requirement or the functional requirement he expresses. So therefore, these are the informal requirements. Those are features only, the functions only he expresses. So those functions, what they expressed by the customer, collected by the product owner, and he writes down in a specific format, that is user stories. How to write the user stories, I will explain later. But here write the requirements, he writes down in a certain format, that is called user stories. These user stories are being prioritized in a ceremony, or it is a meeting we call backlog refinement. Earlier it is called as a grooming. From 2020 onwards, the grooming word is replaced by the refinement. Earlier we call it as a grooming, and literatures also, the earlier literatures, the books and all things which are published before 2020, they still talks about the grooming. But the latest, means 2020 onwards, they changed it into the backlog refinement. This is nothing but a meeting. In the meeting, the product owner and his team prioritizes the user stories, and they listed down the priorities. That is called product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but a prioritized list of user stories and features. Product backlog is nothing but a prioritized list of the features and user stories. Okay, and this product backlog becomes input for the next ceremony, that is we call as a sprint planning. This is nothing but again a meeting. This is sprint planning. There's a meeting. All the three team members are collectively, they take the decisions here. All the three team members, the product owner, development team, and the Scrum Master. The development team, they are the cross-functional team. They are the cross-functional team, consist of the designers or the architects, the analysts, the programmers, the QA testers, all the team members collectively we call as the development team. They are the real doers or the performers. They are the real doers or the performers. Okay, and the Scrum Master, he or she is a facilitator, a guide, a coach, and mentor, and hand holding the team. If the team has any difficulties, she try to eliminate that impediments we call it, or obstacles, and those things will be eliminated by the Scrum Master. Okay, she is a facilitator, a guide, a coach, a mentor. Okay, and in the sprint planning, all the three team members are involved. They collectively decide how much work they can perform in upcoming sprint. How much work they can perform in the upcoming sprint. That we call as a sprint backlog. That we call as a sprint backlog. Okay, they estimate how much work they can perform in upcoming sprint based on the priority, So that piece of work we call as a sprint backlog. And also they decide about the sprint goal, means that is what the objective of the sprint and what the sprint velocity and other thing later I will discuss. But primarily here they decide about the sprint backlog, means how much work they can perform in upcoming sprint. Okay. Then there's a checklist. They verify the checklist. The definition of ready is a checklist before starting of a sprint. The definition of ready is nothing but a checklist. They verify whether we are ready to start the works or not. If everything is okay and ready, satisfied, then we start with the sprint. Sprint are the time box or the iteration we call it a fixed time frame. Sprint or the iteration is nothing but a fixed time frame. Okay. Suppose in a Scrum, we generally takes 1 to 4 weeks as a fixed time frame. Either it is 1 week or it can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. Any of the time we can take as a fixed time frame. Once we selected the time frame for each of the sprint, all other sprints also in the entire project remain the same. Suppose we are taken a 2 weeks as a sprint duration, and all other sprints subsequently are same that 2 weeks only. Okay. So here we are started with the sprint, and in the sprint, every day before starting of the work, we have a daily stand-up meeting. This is the daily stand-up meeting, or it is also called Scrum meeting. We call a stand-up meeting because it is not like a long period meetings. Generally, when you call up a meeting, and we sit with the meeting and take the tea, snacks, and many things, we chit chat, then start with the meeting. Maybe hours together we take, at least hour like that we take the meetings. But here this is Scrum meeting is the daily stand-up meeting. It's just a small 15 minutes maximum meeting. Here we are not discussing about the more details of the status and all thing, or the progress, what all these things we are not discussing, but we are discussing just three things. Because it's very short meeting, we are discussing only three things. What we did yesterday, that is the status. What we are going to do today. And the third one is what are the obstacles, impediments, obstacles and blockers are there, so that the Scrum Master try to eliminate those things. Generally, these are the administrative related matters. Okay. So therefore, this daily Scrum meeting is not a technical meeting, is not a problem solving meeting, is not a detailing about the project, is not a meeting. It is only just a 15 minutes short meeting to discuss the three things: what we did yesterday, what we are going to do today, and what are the problems we are facing. Okay, that is only three things we discuss. Scrum Master being a facilitator, a guide, a coach, mentor, hand-holding the team. If the team has some certain difficulties expressed in the daily Scrum meeting, she try to eliminate. So that the development team, is they are the doers, they are the performers, they can perform smoothly. Once what are the works they performed during this sprint, they will show to the customer, that we call it the sprint review meeting. In the sprint review meeting, the development team show to the customer as a demo presentation to the customer. So the purpose is to take the feedback. When the customer we are calling, definitely the product owner must be there. So in the sprint review meeting, the development team and the product owner and the customer will be there. These are the mandatory requirements. Scrum Master being a facilitator, she can facilitate the meetings. All the meetings are facilitated by the Scrum Master, but need not be always participate. Okay, but these are voluntary. If she can have the spare, sometimes she can participate. Otherwise, not a mandatory. But in the sprint review, the development team must be there because they are the performers. What they do, what they did in the sprint, they are showing to the as a demo presentation, showing to the customer. And product owner must be there because when the customer comes, the product owner must be there, because the product owner is the first phase of interaction with the customer. Okay. Then they're taking the feedback, They're taking the feedback from the customer, and then iteratively that improvements are being made. Iteratively that improvements are being made. After the improvements, that sprint is complete, then the works are closed, means the time frame is finished. Then we go through a checklist that we call as a definition of done. That we call it the definition of done. This is again a checklist whether the what are the works they did, whether it is complete in all respects or not, as per the requirement it is fulfilling or not, they verify through a checklist. So there are two checklists are there. One is the definition of ready and the definition of done. Definition of ready is before starting of the sprint, and definition of done is after the works are completed. Okay, mean the sprint the time is expired, then only this definition of done happens. Okay. So once it is satisfied as per the definition of done, the works are done as per the requirements, 100% meeting the requirements, then the output we call as a increment. That is a product increment we call it. So the sprint backlog is an input. Sprint backlog, the scope to work, is an input, and we are executing certain works. The output is product increment. With this, the sprint, the works are completed. Then at the last event in the sprint is called as a sprint retrospective. The last event in the sprint we call as a sprint retrospective. In the sprint retrospective, three things we do, because it is again retrospective is nothing a meeting. The development team and mostly the Scrum Master must be there here. The Scrum Master and development team, whenever required, the product owner can join, but not a mandatory. But these two must be there. In a retrospective, we discuss about three things. Just completed this iteration, what we did well, what went wrong, and what we can be improved in the next iteration we discuss. So therefore, in the retrospective, we are recommending certain improvements for the next iteration to improve. Those recommendations we call as an action items. Those recommendations we call as an action items. These action items goes into the sprint backlog for the next iteration to start with, because these are improvements. There's the process improvements. Okay, so these action items we are putting into the sprint backlog, and then in the next iteration we incorporate those improvements and we do the. Okay, is it now clear? Any doubts on this? Are any additions also, because there's some experts also there, Scrum certified, and if you can give some inputs also welcome. And those not from the agile framework, whether it is clear, because some of the new terminologies are there that you have to understand. Is it clear? Yes, sir. Everybody silent?
Clear for me.
Okay. Okay. And what about others? Especially I'm asking those who are not much exposure into the agile frameworks, and they can reply yes or no, whether understood or not.
Yes, for me it's understood because I've done a Scrum Master course once, so this terminology is very familiar.
Yeah, for you very familiar, because those who have done these Scrum certifications, definitely they are much familiar with this. But other than the means those who are exposed into the certification, are they practically, for some others it looks like a something new terminologies, and I ask from them whether it is clear. If any doubts are there, I will explain again, because this one framework, many of the questions you can easily can answer. So the silence means everybody understood or not understood. If not at all understood also, people may remain silent. Or completely understood, there is nothing to question it, or doubts are not there, then also true. But interaction is a good way of the understanding. If you interact, the understanding will be more. Even though you understood the concept, but the more you interact, more understanding will be there, more intricacies can be understood. Some hidden aspects also there that also can be understood when you are interacting. Otherwise, I'll ask those certified CSM, you want to add something? You want to add something? Okay, here also silence. Okay, so let us understand again. I'll tell you some of the other aspects. This Scrum framework is a continuous improvement model. This is a continuous improvement model because there is an ample opportunities we are creating to get the feedback. Here, one of the feedback from the customer, so that accordingly we are making the improvement. This is one of the evidence about the continuous improvement. The second evidence is about the retrospective. Here also we are discussing and try to improve in the next iteration. So the action items we are recommending for the next sprint to improve. So this is another opportunity or the evidence for the improvement. So therefore, this framework, there's an inbuilt mechanism is there for the further improvements, continuous improvements. So this is the continuous improvement model. And this framework also very collaborative approach. We have many places are there, face-to-face interactions. Collaboration and face-to-face interactions are the two principles of the agile. So here in the grooming, this is also one of the event. There the product owner and his team members, they're interacting and they're prioritizing the requirements. Then again, we have a sprint planning. All the three team members collectively we are taking the decisions about how much work they can perform in the upcoming sprint and the sprint goals and velocity and all things they discuss. So this is again an opportunity for face-to-face interactions. Then again, daily Scrum meeting, another event. Here also we are face-to-face interacting about the difficulties, the impediments, obstacles, and blockers. And here we are collaborating with the customer. We are interacting and collaborating with the customer, taking the feedback from the customer. So this is another evidence of the interactions and collaboration. Okay, again, here also the team is collaborating. The team is collectively taking certain measures for the improvement in the next iteration. So these also face-to-face interactions happens. So therefore, in the Scrum framework, this is inbuilt about the principles, one of the face-to-face interaction and collaboration. These are inbuilt in this framework. Okay. And one more aspect I'll tell you. Suppose you have picked up certain works, for example, 5, the story user stories were picked up. Assume 5 user stories you are picked up. Okay. And out of the 5, in the sprint you are done, only 3 the user stories are completed. 2 are not completed, those are not finished as per the definition of done. Then what happens about the unfinished 2 user stories? Where it will go? Whether we extend the time frame because the works are not completed, so the sprint time we are extending, or where those unfinished works will go? Definitely will not go to the product increment, because product increment, those works which are finished, completed as per the definition of done, the checklist, everything satisfied, then only it will move to the product increment. But those unfinished 2 user stories, where it will go? Any idea, any guess? Yes, sir.
They will go in the next sprint.
Mhm. Means it is going to the sprint backlog or product backlog, or where it will go?
In the sprint backlog. And they will be picked up from there in the next sprint.
Next sprint will be picked up. Okay. And any other, yeah? Others also I want. I told you we have picked up 5 user stories. Out of those 5, we able to complete only 3 as per the definitions of done,